Hey YouTube, LShizer here again. We're looking at modding a Dualshock 3 controller today. I had a lot of hits on that 6-axis controller that I did forever ago. Haven't really posted another relevant one per se since. I mean, simple how to install your HDD, which isn't too difficult. It's like a screw. But had a few hits on that, so went ahead, did a Dualshock 3. A few people asking me to do that, so we're going to go ahead and mod this Dualshock 3 right here. First things first, let's go over the materials you're going to need. You're going to need a drill again. Basically, if you did the 6-axis, you're going to know what you need again. You need a drill to punch out that hole you're going to need. Also, like a razor blade, be very useful. Soldering gun. Drill bits for the hole again. Duh. An LED. Mine's from Radio Shack. The one I actually use in this one's blue. Some resistors. It depends on what kind of current you need to get for your LED. Like for instance, this blue LED that I'm running in this controller needs 20 milliamps. Your controller runs at 10 amps. 10 amps of current versus 20 milliamps. 10 versus 0.02. That's 9.98 amps of difference. That's a lot of current difference, alright? Your LED, a few things could happen. It's not going to light up. You could burn it out. Just trust me. Just use a resistor. If you don't believe me, go look up some general physics, some general electricity. V equals IR, voltage equals current times resistance. Your controller runs at 2.78 volts with a current of 10 amps. Okay, alright. So you need to up that resistance because your voltage is constant. If you up that resistance, your current goes down so we can get down to 20 milliamps. Alright? Alright. Anyways, so first things first, just like the 6-axis. We're going to take out these 5 screws, still in the same place. We need to lay them out so that you get a nice little grip pattern, right? Some people were asking what kind of screwdriver this is. I have no idea. It's a small one. Go to the hardware store and find the one that looks right. I mean, I don't know. Some people will probably be able to tell you, oh, it's a number 5. I don't know. All I know is number 2 is the most common. This is not a number 2. So, alright. So, we'll get these 5 screws out and I'll be right back. Alright guys, you can see I got the 5 screws laid out right here. Alright. So, I got the 5 screws out of here. Same thing with this Dualshock as it is with the 6-axis. It's got a little force behind it, but you can push that open and it'll come right up. See? Does that happen? So just push it up. And then with the Dualshock, these little tabs don't come out. So what you're going to want to do is just go ahead and gingerly push it forward. These R2 buttons come off really easily. They're kind of a little bit of a pain to put back on. Not terrible, but just watch out because these will snap off, and then you have to mess with the spring, and it's just try not to do it. Okay, so then you got your battery, right, in the battery tray. This one you can already see is modded, right? I've already got those wires laid in there. But basically, you're going to want to disconnect the battery, alright, and then we're going to, after we disconnect the battery, expose that screw right there. See that little tiny screw right there? That's what's holding the motherboard down. So once we disconnect that screw, I'll be right back. Alright, YouTube. Once you have undone that small screw right there, you'll have, by the way, that piece of electrical tape is not going to be there, and neither are these 2 wires. Okay, those are from my mod that I'm going to show you how to do. That's obviously I did this first. That way I knew how to do it. Okay, kind of hard to teach somebody if you don't know how to do it. Anyways, you're going to take out these rumble packs, right? They are on both sides. Now, seriously, I've broken the solder on every single one of these leads. So do your best to be careful. You're probably going to end up breaking them and have to resolder them. So just keep that in mind. Oh, good. Another one just broke. Okay, so that's what I mean. I barely touched it and it broke. So just likes to break. So then we'll pull it up. Motherboard just slips right up. Watch out for these R2 buttons. They like to hang the motherboard up. Okay. So there's your motherboard right there. Right. There is your positive on the left and your negative on the right. Right. Okay. Now, when you're inside of here, you're gonna notice that you have it's a different connection than your 6-axis. It actually just presses down, right? So you're gonna need to make sure you have this black strip. Don't lose it; it'll pop out really easily. So go ahead and just pop up this whole little plastic piece right here. You'll notice my L2 button rather came up, right? And then now that little plastic, that little rubber grommet that I was talking about just popped out, right? So just make sure you have that. Make sure you don't lose it, because otherwise your controller is not going to function right. All right. So this little piece you're going to have on yours. It'll have little extensions out here. So what you're going to do is drill it out so that you don't lose this little piece, right? But you do get rid of that extra extension. You make a little bit more room for that LED to shine through, right? So there's my rectangular LED attached to it. Okay. And then just like with your 6-axis, you can pull out this rubber thing right here, and yours won't have a hole in it yet. That's up to you. You got to make that hole so that you can go ahead and fit your so that your LED will shine through. Obviously, if it's filled up, you're not going to be able to see through it. Okay, so basically all this amounts to is putting your LED in place after you drill all that out, and then getting your wires configured in a way that you can wire them back up to this motherboard once you put it back in, right? So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and set this back into place. Take your R1 and your L1 buttons out. Okay guys, so after you get your LED in place there, right, with your leads attached off of it and your resistor, one note, the positive side of the LED is going to be longer, alright? It'll have the longer end, so I'll show you what that means. So you see this one's not cut yet. You see how that side is longer? That's the positive end. Shorter side is the negative, alright? So you're going to attach the resistor to the positive, then you're going to have a wire coming off the resistor that's longer than you need it to be, that way you have room to cut it off, and then you're going to have a lead, just a wire coming off of the negative side, right? You're going to need to cut these down, I mean, fairly small. Don't make it so small you can't solder, but as small as you can make it, that way you got a lot of space in there, right? Okay, so I'm gonna slip the motherboard back into the housing, and I'll be right back. Okay, so now I got these positive and negative leads coming off there. I can tell my positive because the resistor is on there, right? And what we're gonna do, I see I already slipped the Dualshocks back into their housing. What we're gonna do is we're gonna screw that screw back down, and then we're gonna solder our leads onto our positive and negative connectors. Alright, so right there, our positive and our negative connectors. We're going to solder those two leads onto there. So let me handle that and I'll be right back with you. Alright, so once you have your leads connected there, right, you see the solder there on the positive and negative terminals. Alright, we're going to go ahead and make sure it's soldered correctly. The last thing you want to do is short out your controller. It'd be really disappointing. Okay, so we're going to put the battery tray back in.